Okay, Cigar and a Beverage is on the air. I am Paul. Welcome to another edition. Tonight, Beverage is a little different, and I know they haven't made this one in a while, but Urban South made a 10K fruit punch goza that's actually really good. I've had this one in the refrigerator for a while. It's kept cold. The beer still tastes really, really good. So thank you to my friends at Urban South. This is a good one. I wonder if you can make an orange one. 10K orange flavor was pretty darn good, too. I'm wondering if they can do that. So if anybody at Urban South wants to watch this video, let me know. We are back on the air. Cigar and a Beverage. I'm Paul. Welcome back. I got my cigar. I got my drink. I already showed you what I'm drinking. It is a Tuesday night edition and a lot of sports news happening tonight. And we start... being in New Orleans and a Pelicans fan and a Pelicans season ticket holder, I felt it was only necessary for us to start with the All-Star game, as those selections have already been made. And Zion Williamson, the second-year man out of Duke University and a Pelican superstar, has made his first All-Star game. He was named a reserve among the 14 reserves. As selected by the NBA coaches. Williamson will join 4 first-time All-Stars for the March 7th contest. And some of those other All-Stars include Jaylen Brown from the Boston Celtics, Chicago Bulls guard Zach LaVine, New York Knicks forward Julius Randle. So your Eastern Conference reserves are James Harden, Jaylen Brown, Zach LaVine, Ben Simmons, Jason Tatum, Julius Randle, and Nikola Vucevic. Randle represents the Knicks' first All-Star since Kristaps Porzingis was selected in 2018. He's only the 5th different player from the franchise to make the All-Star game in the last 10 seasons. A list that also contains Amari Stoudemire, Carmelo Anthony, Tyson Chandler, and Porzingis. So in the Western Conference reserves, Damian Lillard making his 6th All-Star appearance from Portland, Donovan Mitchell, Chris Paul making his 11th All-Star game, Paul George, Rudy Gobert making his 2nd All-Star game, Anthony Davis, and Zion, and of course Zion Williamson. Chris Paul with his 11th nomination will be tied with Kevin Durant as the 2nd most frequent All-Star at the event. Only LeBron James, the other captain, has more nominations. This will be LeBron's 17th All-Star appearance. The Western Conference could be forced to make a change due to Anthony Davis's injury. Lakers head coach Frank Vogel revealed over the weekend that the big man would miss 4 weeks due to an Achilles issue and a calf strain. If an injury replacement is necessary, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver chooses which player in the conference substitutes Davis. The All-Star starters were announced last Thursday, as captains LeBron James and Kevin Durant will pick among Joel Embiid, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Kyrie Irving, Bradley Beal, Nikola Jokic, Kawhi Leonard, and Stephen Curry, and Luka Doncic for their respective starting lineups. They will then move on to the reserves to fill out their benches. James and Durant will draft their sides on March the 4th, and the All-Star draft will be held on TNT starting at 7 p.m. Central Time. So there you go. It'll be Team LeBron versus Team Durant. In a very deep talent pool. For the All-Star game. So that'll be interesting here. Got a little bit of an issue that I'm going to take care of right now. Let's see here. Let's see if that helps things out. So there is that. The other top story from earlier today is Tiger Woods has suffered some serious injuries following a single car accident that happened earlier this morning out in Los Angeles. Woods was transported to a nearby hospital to undergo surgery on serious but not life-threatening leg injuries after he was extricated from the vehicle through the windshield. Now, it was initially reported by the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department that the jaws of life were required to remove Woods from the vehicle, but that was not the case. The 45-year-old Woods suffered a shattered ankle and 2 leg fractures, one of which is a compound fracture. A source familiar with Tiger's procedure told Daniel Miller of the Los Angeles Times. Now, Tiger's agent, Mark Steinberg, confirmed the initial news this morning. Tiger was in a single-car accident this morning in California where he suffered multiple leg injuries. He is currently in surgery, and we thank you for your privacy and support. That came out according to Daniel Rappaport of Golf Digest. The PGA Tour released a statement shortly afterwards sending prayers to Woods. Officials have not yet released the cause of the accident. However, law enforcement sources told the Los Angeles Times that Woods, who was the only occupant in the vehicle, thank God, was traveling at a high rate of speed and lost control of the vehicle before crossing the center median. Woods' SUV, a courtesy car from last weekend's Genesis Invitational, rolled multiple times before coming to a stop on its side 30 yards off the road. It's very fortunate that Mr. Woods was able to come out of this alive, according to Deputy Carlos Ortiz, who was the first to arrive at the scene. Ortiz also said Tiger was calm and lucid when he first made contact with him and noted the golfer was wearing his seatbelt. The Sheriff's Department added Tiger was conscious and that there was no evidence of impairment when officers arrived at the crash, according to Brian Wacker of Golf Digest. Woods hosted his annual Genesis Invitational at Riviera in Los Angeles this past weekend. He did not compete in the event as he was recovering from back surgery he underwent back in December. And according to Rappaport, Woods was doing a 2-day content shoot for Golf Digest and Golf TV that featured a number of celebrities receiving lessons from the 15-time major champion. And I know, it's easy to call out Tiger Woods because of his past with drug addiction and alcoholism, but if they didn't think he was impaired and he was calm and lucid, then that might be a good sign and a good thing for Tiger. But we'll see what happens if we have any additional news coming out of this. We'll definitely be interesting to see what additional could come out of this. So it'll be definitely interesting to see at the moment. Another piece of news, this time coming out of Major League Baseball, where Seattle Mariners general manager Jerry Dipoto and manager Scott Servais are doing damage control with players who were directly mentioned or referenced by former team CEO Kevin Mather in an online video that led to his resignation. The message over the past 2 days to those affected has been, you have every right to be upset. We are very open with our players and urge them to be the same. And if they want to be angry, they should be insulted. but at the same time, they are collectively driven toward what we're trying to do as a team. The video posted over the weekend showed Mather expressing his views of the club's organizational strategy and making controversial remarks about players during a recent online event. He took insensitive shots at a former all-star from Japan and a top prospect from the Dominican Republic for their English skills. He also admitted the team may be manipulating service time for some of its young players. Mather apologized Sunday and then abruptly resigned the next day, but not before casting a pall over the organization as it began full squad workouts in Arizona ahead of spring training. So why you represent a Major League Baseball organization, the players trusted you in the front office, and you're going to go and make comments like this? Are you kidding me? How can you be that dumb? Are you that stupid? You know, my mother always said, if you can't say anything nice about somebody, don't say it at all. And if you feel like you have to say something, keep it to yourself. I mean, there's no reason for this to happen. Mather's most inflammatory comments were about the English skills of former All-Star pitcher Hisashi Iwakuma and top prospect Julio Rodriguez, and drew the strongest responses from both Dipoto and Cervais. Cervais referenced his winter baseball experiences in the Dominican Republic and Venezuela, and the Mariners' season opening trip to Japan 2 years ago. Mather undermined strategy on the baseball side, admitting that the team was possibly manipulating service time for top prospects Jared Kelenic and Logan Gilbert. Mather also divulged information about contract negotiations with Kelenic and pitcher James Paxton, and called veteran Kyle Cigar overpaid. Yeah, this guy was looking to get out, and he used the video to do that. His time was up, apparently, in Seattle. And if this is the way he's going to go out, then so be it. What an idiot. I mean, truthfully, what a dumbass. Both Cervais and Dipoto said decisions on Seattle's roster have not been made, and that the plans for Kelenic and Gilbert have been laid out and communicated to both players. Cervais said he met with several players directly mentioned by Mather. Just an awful situation out of the Seattle Mariners organization. My goodness. Going back to the NBA, though, the Houston Rockets have waived center DeMarcus Cousins. The move will now allow DeMarcus Cousins to explore the market to find his next team. Cousins and the Rockets reportedly reached a mutual agreement to part ways last week. Houston's decision to cut ties with the four-time All-Star apparently stems from a desire to play smaller lineups. Before releasing him, the Rockets guaranteed the big man's $2.3 million salary for the remainder of the year. Chump change for the Houston Rockets. Cousins averaged 9.6 points and 7.6 rebounds over 25 appearances with the Rockets after missing last season while recovering from a torn ACL. He came off the bench for 14 of those games behind budding star center Christian Wood, who's currently sidelined with an ankle sprain. Yeah, DeMarcus Cousins has a reputation of being a jerk. And if something's not going his way, he wants out. Period. Well, he got his wish. Certainly did. Certainly did get his wish. So that's basically what's been going on in the world of sports today. Scores from around the association right now. 5:11 to go, fourth quarter. The Warriors and the Knicks. Warriors are up 97-92 in Madison Square Garden. 3:41 to go, fourth quarter. Philadelphia leads Toronto 96-83. The Mavericks are ahead of the Boston Celtics 91-87. 6:59 to go in the fourth quarter. It'll be interesting to see if Boston can pull this one out. They were up by 24 on Sunday against the Pelicans, and the Pelicans came back. Actually had a 2-point lead with about 6 seconds to go in the fourth quarter of that game. Jason Tatum hits a shot, ties the game. They go to overtime, where the Pelicans actually pulled this one out on Sunday. Boston trying to keep it close and get a win in Dallas. 6:59 to go in that one. Boston down 4. 4:40 to go in the fourth quarter. Brooklyn leads Sacramento 116-109. And with 4:28 to go in the third, Milwaukee leads Minnesota 98-79. Minnesota just recently fired Ryan Saunders. They fired him over the weekend. Let's see if I can find the story on that one real quick. Didn't really come as a shock to most, but you got to feel for the guy, as he is the son of the late Flip Saunders, who was a staple in that organization for a very long time as their head coach. Flip passed away over the last couple of years from cancer. Let's see. And what was interesting about this news regarding the the Ryan Saunders firing, was that they immediately went out and hired Toronto Raptors assistant coach Chris Finch. Finch and president of basketball operations Gerson Rosas previously worked together with the Houston Rockets. Finch served as the head coach of the Rockets' G League affiliate when Rosas was an executive in Houston. Finch was midway through his first season on Nick Nurse's staff. The former D-League coach of the year also had stints as an assistant with the Rockets, Denver Nuggets, and the Pelicans. Minnesota didn't show much progress under Saunders' guidance, going 43-93 in parts of 3 seasons. The Timberwolves have lost 8 of their past 9 games and own the NBA's worst record at 7-24. Saunders, son of the late Timberwolves president and head coach Flip Saunders, took over for Tom Thibodeau midway through the 2018-19 season. He was the league's youngest head coach at the time of his hiring, but had a decade's worth of experience as an assistant. On the other side of that story, shortly following Sunday's news of the transaction between Saunders, Finch, and the Timberwolves, that outcome didn't sit right with Damian Lillard. The superstar point guard mounted an impassioned defense of former Portland Trailblazers assistant coach David Vanterpool, who had been the associate head coach under Saunders since the start of last season. And then I'm quoting the tweet from Damian Lillard that came out on Sunday night, late Sunday night rather. Lillard said, quote, "How the hell do you not hire David Vanterpool, and he's right there on the bench and has been in the front office successfully and on the front of a bench of a winning team successfully, and also has played a major role in the development of a dominant backcourt." Shaking, SMDH, shaking my damn head. During Vanderpool's time on Terry Stotts' staff from 2013 to 19, the Trailblazers qualified for the postseason each year thanks in large part to Lillard's emergence from four-year standout at Weber State to NBA MVP candidate. Shooting guard C.J. McCollum, who enjoyed a similar breakout from star at Lehigh to the NBA's most improved player in 2015-16, agreed with his backcourt teammate. He said in a tweet, he says, "Make it make sense respectfully." Lillard later clarified that he has nothing against Finch specifically. "Vanterpool is a coach that I know for sure is needed in these locker rooms," he said. Timberwolves president Gerson Rosas previously worked with Finch as members of the Houston Rockets organization early last decade. There's going to be some fallout from this, but we'll see where it goes. Minnesota, and I think they gave Finch a 3-year deal. At least that's what it looks like to me. Okay, so you're a member. All right, so check this out. You're a member of a college football program, a big-time college football program in the Big 12. You have a responsibility to not hurt the team, but yet you're going to go out to a bar, get into a fight, and then nearly go blind. That's basically what happened to Oklahoma's Spencer Jones, as he required a 4-hour eye surgery after he was injured in a bar fight over Valentine's Day weekend, according to Mason Young of OU Daily. Jones, a senior holder and wide receiver for the Sooners, and his brother were in a disagreement with two people in the bathroom of Logie's on the corner in Norman, Oklahoma. Unbeknownst to Jones, the person he became entangled with was trained in mixed martial arts. Probably messed with the wrong guy. I mean, you think? Dr. Perry Brooks came out of that surgery saying he's extraordinarily lucky at this point, that he's lucky he didn't lose the eye altogether, said Woody Glass, Jones's attorney. And so he was able to do some things surgically to rebuild that orbital socket and thinks everything is eventually going to come back to normal, but it's going to take a while for him to fully recover. Glass also said Jones was trying to de-escalate the situation when he became the victim of the vicious assault. Jones transferred to Oklahoma after beginning his college career at Liberty. The Nashville native won the Peter Mortel Holder of the Year Award in 2020. The video is on Twitter, posted by @OldRowSooners. That's Old Rose Sooners. Should you watch the video? I have not seen the video, nor do I care to see the video. Notre Dame has come out, said they're not going to participate in EA's football game unless likeness rules are set. See, why does Notre Dame feel like they have to? See, Notre Dame's going to ruin it for everybody, aren't they? I swear to God. I swear to Christ. Look, College football fans should not expect to see Notre Dame in EA Sports' new NCAA football video game, at least not for now. Athletic Director Drax Swarbrick said Monday that the Fighting Irish won't participate in the game until the NCAA finalizes the parameters with names, images, or likenesses. EA Sports recently announced a partnership with Collegiate Trademark Licensing Company CLC on the development of EA Sports College Football, the company's first college football video game since the cancellation of NCAA football in 2013. Notre Dame head coach Brian Kelly took to Twitter to voice his support of Swarbrick's decision. Kelly said in a tweet, "We are here to support our student athletes, much like we have empowered our players when it comes to providing a platform to speak on racial inequalities and social issues that are important to them. We must support them when it comes to name, image, and likeness and the work that still needs to be done." I understand these college players. Look, I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here. I'm going to get up on my soapbox. All right, so here's the deal. It's a double-edged sword. Name, image, likeness, paying collegiate athletes, it's a double-edged sword. Here's what you do. Here's what happens. If you pay football players, then the same has to go for female volleyball players. If you pay men's basketball players, then you got to pay women's basketball players. If you pay baseball players, then you got to pay the softball players. So it's a double-edged sword here. All right? Some people are going to argue that these college athletes get paid as it is. They get paid in the form of a scholarship. They get paid in the form of their books. They get paid in the form of their meals. They get paid, I think there's a per diem built into some of their scholarships depending on where they go to school, all within the guidelines and parameters of the NCAA. All right, so you're getting a free education for at least 4 years. Some of these football players are getting state-of-the-art training in some of the most ridiculously looking training and practice facilities that teams in the National Football League don't even have. I mean, look, National Football League practice facilities don't have a barber shop built into the facility. I mean, really. Alabama, most of these SEC facilities don't have a barber shop in there. I mean, look, some of these facilities are just ridiculous. Like LSU's locker room. They have like these reclinable airline seats that you would find in executive first class on a transatlantic flight. I mean, you see these on Qantas Airlines where the seat lays all the way down like a bed. I mean, you find these on Emirates Airlines. You know, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. So anytime a college football player complains that he's not getting paid, but look at what you have. Most of these college football players today, I'm not talking about 10, 12, 15 years ago. I'm talking about today, are spoiled. I mean, you ever see the facilities that they have at the University of Oregon? Nike money. There's a reason why they call Phil Knight Uncle Phil. See, here's the deal. Here's another point that I'm going to make on this part of it. College athletes are going to sit there and complain that the university and the university's athletic department are profiting over their name, image, and likeness on the football field. Okay? And they're not getting anything in return. But what, in my view, my opinion, and I'm just one opinion, okay? I'm just one opinion. And the players and athletes, student athletes are not getting anything. But that money and the donations that they get from the benefactors and boosters of the university and those university athletic departments are not only going into coaching salaries, which Saban is getting a ridiculously exorbitant amount of money. Jim Harbaugh is getting an exorbitant amount of money. Dabo Swinney is getting an exorbitant amount of money. Okay? A lot of these college coaches are getting a ridiculously exorbitant amount of money. I can understand the players' complaint there. But it's not just going into coaching salaries. It's also going into facility upgrades, stadium upgrades, and facility upgrades that are that are benefiting the college player. You see, a student athlete has an ungodly amount of resources when it comes to athletics and academics at these Power 5 universities. And some of these Group of 5 universities have ridiculous facilities. I mean, seriously, ridiculous facilities. All right? So, yes, the players are benefiting in one way, shape, or form. And it's a shame that for a percentage of these college student athletes, that the amount of resources that they have academically, some of them, and it's a small percentage, choose not to take advantage of those academic resources. And thus some of them become academically ineligible to play. And that's a shame. Or they leave school early thinking they're going to make it in the NFL. They're a late round draft pick. They burn out after 3 years. And then who knows what they do after that. Some of them do choose to go back to school. Some don't. And then some of them say, I should have gotten my degree. And that's their choice. You know, I'm not going to knock them for making a choice that they thought, in their heart of hearts, they thought was right. Now, on the flip side, looking at it from a student-athlete point of view, university bookstores, and I'm going to focus on football because that's the moneymaker at these universities. Football. Okay? These university bookstores will have jerseys hanging up in those bookstores, and normally they're the jersey of your starting quarterback, maybe your starting running back, maybe your star receiver. Now, they're not allowed to put a name on the back of the jersey, but if you're a fan of that university, you know who quarterback number 10 is for that school. Or you know who the running back number 22 is for that school. You know who it is. And if a university is going to make X number of dollars off of those jersey sales, and I'm going to focus on jersey sales here. If they're making X number of dollars off the jersey sale, then the student athlete, the college football player, would feel that it's necessary to make a percentage of the profit off of the profit of the sale of that jersey. Almost like royalties. Do they have a gripe? For the most part, because I do believe if you're a professional athlete and your jersey, you get a percentage off of your jersey sales. You get a royalty check of some sort. Or professional athletes are sponsored by Nike, or they're sponsored by Adidas, or they're sponsored by Puma or Gatorade or whatever these big companies are. You know, they get royalty checks off of the sponsorships. And this is what college athletes are looking for. Are we at that point yet? Most people, especially some politicians in Washington, feel that we are at that point. The NCAA doesn't want to admit that we're at that point, and they're dragging their feet on this. Meanwhile, EA Sports has come out and said, we're going to go ahead and we're going to make this video game. We're not going to use names. First of all, they've never used names. Even in NCAA football, they've never used names. Okay? Now, the jersey numbers were true to the roster, but never the names. Do they change? It'll be interesting to see how this game is developed, how it plays, and how it comes out. I'm going to get the game because I am a fan. I've always been a fan of that game, of EA Sports, of that platform. Okay? Now, we're going to see, and what's going to be interesting to see is how this name, image, and likeness, if this speeds up that process. Because if a big-time university and a college football blue blood like Notre Dame is coming out and said, we don't want any part of this, then we're going to see how quickly this name, image, likeness thing resolves itself. It'll be interesting. It'll definitely be interesting to see how it resolves itself. So, it is what it is there. I'm going to end it right there. We've been on the air now for about 39 minutes and counting. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight on YouTube Live. This is the premiere of Cigar and a Beverage on YouTube Live, and I think this is going to be our platform for a while here. So again, thank you for everybody for joining us. It was a real treat to be on. This video will be posted on the Facebook page, on my personal Facebook page, as well as the Cigar and a Beverage Facebook page. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here tonight. And as always, you can always grab your favorite cigar, grab your favorite beverage, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. And if you want to comment, feel free to comment. Let's see if we have any comments tonight. Nope, not yet. That's okay. Again, we'll be seeing you next time. I won't be available for the next couple weeks, but when I do come back on the airwaves here on YouTube Live, you can rest assured we're going to have more topics, more sports news, and hey, the NCAA tournament should be going on by the time I get back on the air. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out, being in a bubble or in a bubble type atmosphere. Once again, thank you all for joining us. Y'all have a great night.